Hello, this is Lisa Harrison with Deconstructing the Construct. It has been a couple of weeks since the last program, and honestly, again, it's because so much happens. And when the next thing happens at time, sometimes changes the context or gives more clarity or whatever to previous events. So I'm going to take a minute and just get out what's happened so far. In terms of body changes, there's a lot. The focus seems to be on the brain at the moment, and possibly even bringing the two hemispheres of the brain back together. This can be experienced as sensations, tingling, even to the point where it feels like someone's actually doing brain surgery on you. Dizziness, headaches, visual glitches, and sort of matrix glitches. There's quite a few things that are going on there. Sleep patterns, upset once again. More general body stuff is overall aches and pains that can be coming from very deep, like from the bone up and out. We seem to be healing from the inside out. And what else have we got? Bodies. Emotionally, people are very hypersensitive at the moment. The boredom thing continues to increase, worsen, and spread. There's a general lack of interest in just about anything. And as a continuation into that, but slightly different, we do seem to be having people who are noticing that they themselves are becoming somebody else. They don't recognise themselves. They, for the most part, are not being too freaked out by it, but it's obvious. And again, it's an inside job, so it's all happening from the inside out, and people are changing, feeling like they're becoming a whole new personality or identity. That began, or reports of that began, after February 18, which was another huge day, which I'll go into in a sec. That seemed to be a catalyst for more merging. And it's happening in a very visceral way right now, very tangible way. So February 18 appears to be, I've talked before about the 18th of March in particular, but the 18th of January as well was a big day. The whole 818 thing, if you didn't see the DTC around that, I recommend it. And then February 18, again, was another big one. And what seems to have happened that day, what was witnessed, was two beings who seemed to be at the very top, the beings who were behind all of this, were confronted and given a choice. And they made a decision, they made a choice that shocked everyone everywhere, all of creation, you could say. In their words, they refused to bend the knee. That's how they saw it. And what they were presented with was ceasing and desisting what they were doing, how they run, how they have taken control, and how they operate in this construct. To return to source and be, the word I use is reconstituted, or oblivion. And when I say oblivion, it's like this construct is eternal and endless. It's an endless plane. And yet there is still something beyond it. the nothing. And they chose the nothing rather than what they, as I said, their words, bend the knee. Because to do so would be to, A, admit that they didn't have the right to do what they're doing, and they just refused to do that. At the time, their identities weren't clear, but what is presenting itself is that these two characters may well have been the individuals that we've come to know as Enlil and Enki. They weren't alone. There were many others with them, but these others were under their control completely and had been for so long that they had no free will left. They were mindless and soulless at this point. They had been so heavily controlled and harvested for so long that they weren't in a position to make a decision for themselves. Whatever these two chose was on behalf of themselves and all these others that were under them. When they left, the doorway, you could say, was sealed, and all the light that they had harvested was returned. So first thing on that is, I know that there are people who feel connected or have a relationship or have had an experience with these individuals. So I'm looking for anything to confirm one way or the other whether that's who these beings were. So if you've got anything on that, would appreciate some feedback. For those who had these two characters or even one of these two characters in a position of worship or that kind of relationship, may not be doing so well right now or may be very angered by what I've just said. And I get that. But if that's who they were and if that's what they've been doing, then it is. When all of this harvested light was returned, it actually was the catalyst for an explosion of a new creation, of new life. That we, from what the current visual picture I have for it, which is always open to change, but as it stands right now, is that this new creation was created and everything, all of creation as it is being rebirthed into that space. And again, got to go put this into context with the stuff that's been happening in the previous weeks and months, how everything is going backwards. We may be experiencing now some of the stuff that was energetically played out in the past. Another way of saying that is we may have just seen the birth of, well, I've been calling Windows 50. We'll see. Where's my pen? So if that, and as I said, that played out on February 18. And since then, nothing's been the same again. That's when a lot of these physical symptoms really kicked in. The brain stuff really picked up. I also have received a message that all the governments of the world have been informed that what I call home and the beings from home are here now. And they are not leaving, and they will not allow this to continue. that any attempts to maintain the status quo will only lead to full disclosure. Not that that word was used, but that was the message, essentially, of their presence, of their control, of their harvesting. That message seemed to go hand in hand with another message to vacate Antarctica. And while I was tracking, and others were tracking, the maritime traffic sites, and in the first 48 hours after that message, and I'm not entirely sure whether that was the 18th or not, may have been after that, there was a lot of activity down there with boats all heading out. So I haven't been back lately to see what's going on. But yeah, 48 hours afterwards, it was a bit of activity. What else? We've also got another doing, you could say. A lot of the old tech that has been, well, here from the beginning, the original tech, a lot of it that was taken over and used in nefarious ways has been reclaimed. It's been upgraded, had new tech added to it, and is now working to pump out, among other things, the 3ZB that I've talked about before. The 3ZB is also being pumped in via the sun, and it is currently in the atmosphere everywhere, and increasing. 3ZB apparently was part of our original DNA, and it was stripped out, and so it's coming back. And the result, that results in our memories coming back, which I know people are experiencing. That's showing up in both dream time and waking visions and memories. We've got the elementals, who are also, again, working with the 3ZB now, and the water and the air to assist everyone in waking up. Memories being returned. The result, again, is a change of perspective for a lot of people in many areas of their lives. Another experience, I've talked about overlays now for quite a while, which is where you actually see a whole other reality. Excuse me. Overlaid on the one that you're in. And there are people now who have no concept of any of the stuff that I talk about having these experiences. Seeing things morph and change. Seeing a completely different scene outside a window or all around you, or driving along in the car. It can get dangerous. But that's happening. Okay, that's pretty much it. I know that these things take weeks to compile and moments to share, I know. But that's the major points. But the other thing I wanted to just put out there and ask for feedback on is the event. What seems to have happened in this takeover is that the original light, which was creative, that we worked with, was rainbow, with all the colours. And in the takeover, all those colours were stripped, you could say, and we were left with the white light. And then for me, the white light is a corrupted, false light. And for over a year now, myself and those that I work with have been very diligent in looking out for another hijacking. So what I mean by that is, I do believe that this construct is deconstructing, obviously. And I do also believe there was an agenda, plan A. I mean, if this is inevitable, if those who have been in control of this know it's inevitable, I think plan A was to create yet another construct. You know, a slightly larger, prettier, but still another cage, a golden cage. And to, you know, upload everybody into that one. And there has been work done for not just the group I work with for the last year, but by many others, to prevent that from happening, to look out for these things and shut them down, close them out. Hello. And I think that's also been achieved. So plan B, if you know this, if they know that this event is coming, it's happening, it's no avoiding it, and they've had their plan A destroyed, then plan B would be to somehow utilise or make use of this event, and there's something not sitting well with me about this event that's coming. And I'm not sure what it is yet, but I am interested to hear if anybody else is having a not quite right around it. I think at this point that there is another plan in action to end this or transition this or whatever before the event. I think I'll leave it at that. I think that's what the plan is at the moment. But obviously information keeps coming in, and who knows what next week will, what it'll look like next week. But so whether the event is an organic, unavoidable event, or whether it is a controlled, created event by them in order to, you know, harvest everybody into another one, to another construct. I don't know yet. Maybe you do. So that's it for now. I'll try not to leave it as long for the next one. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.